Hey everyone, welcome to Workflows. This is the first video where we're going to go through a very simple example called Hello World. And the point of this exercise is just to get you familiar with the mechanics of the builder. I'll start here on the Workflows page, and I'm going to enter a very simple prompt that just generates a message for us, Hello World. So I'll enter my prompt here, create a workflow to output Hello World, and then I'll send that in. Now, what's happening on the background is Pinkfish will interpret your prompt. It'll do tool discovery. It'll put together the workflow logic and piece the nodes together. Once it has its structure and it has all of its tools that it needs to use, then it'll run the workflow and test it, essentially looping through until it gets all the way through the workflow. So you can see in this very simple example, I've said create a workflow to output Hello World. I have a simple manual trigger, and I have a custom code node here that is outputting Hello World. To view the results, I can click on the results tab, and you can see here that it has output Hello World for us. And one thing I want to show you here is that your code is always saved in the background as a code version. If you go to the code tab and then click on overview, you can see what current version you are running for that. You may not end up on V1 or V2 or even V3, depending on the complexity of your workflow. Like I mentioned, the builder agent will iterate and fix its code. So you may end up on version 4, 5, etc. So now let's just make a small change to this so you can see that in action. So I'm going to say, let's add the party emoji to the message. So I'm chatting with the builder agent, and it's going to then iterate on that code, create a new code version, run it, make sure it's working, and effectively you'll then end up with the result that you were looking for. So it knew to go in and modify this Hello World output, and so now I have that party emoji. If I go to the code tab and go to overview, now you can see we're on version 3. So this is a great way just to get started on workflows. What else do we have here? We have a log. So this is streaming. You can see in real time as you run your workflow, the step or node output success or failure. We also have interfaces, which we'll get into later. To see your historical runs, you can switch over to the monitor view. So I'll click on that, and you'll notice that I'm now in the prior runs that I just had. So I can look at the output of our first version here, and then the output of our second version. And this comes quite in handy when it comes to troubleshooting and monitoring the workflow. A few final tips and tricks here. If I go back to the workflow tab, I can build the workflow out manually. I don't need to chat with the agent, although it's recommended and quite honestly the easiest way to build inside of Pinkfish. But if I click on plus node here, you'll notice that the menu of all of the different types of flow elements that you can add to the palette are available here. And that includes any connections that you would have created from your tools tab. In addition to adding nodes manually, there is another menu in the top left. So if I want to rename and call this workflow something else, I can call this workflow Mike's Hello World. Enter, and now the workflow is saved. If I go back to Workflows tab, you'll notice that name is now presented to me. In addition, if I had integrations or connections configured for this workflow, I can go into the setup. I don't have any resources for this one. We'll take a look at this more in the next video. The last thing that I'll mention in this video is that as you build, it's sometimes useful to be able to clear your chat history. So that menu is down here. You can clear chat history, and that will clear out any chats back and forth with the agent. The agent still understands the workflow because it can read the code directly. So this allows you to continue on seamlessly where you left off without any hassle. Now that we have the basic navigation down, in the next video, we're going to dig a little deeper into prompting best practices and building out a slightly more complex workflow. We'll see you over there.